We're live, baby. Hello, huh? It's time. It is definitely time. Let me get this thing up and running because we are live. Hello, my family. How's everyone doing? Oh, let me get comfy. Okay. Get my okay. Yes. Ah. Oh, that was shudder. Oh. Hello, everyone. Welcome to MoB Kaffeeklatsch, episode 141. I wish I had my opener here. She always does it so well. Hi. How are you? How's everyone? Let me see who's here. Hello, Connie. Chris Mendoza. Hello. Let's see. Enid, good morning. Let's see. As always, I'm going to say good morning, and you apply the time zone you're in, okay? And you already read it. My God. Hello. Good morning. Let's see. Mary Beth. Good morning. Coffee. Just need to wake up more. I know that feeling. Anna's asking, have you guys read the first chapter of Cecil's book? I just finished it. When did you put that up? It wasn't like 3 minutes ago. The page thing wasn't like two minutes ago. 15. Time is just flowing strangely as usual. Anytime we do Kaffeeklatsch, time is no longer linear. Good morning, Don. Welcome. And Don is saying hello to you too, darling. Hello, Don. Good morning, Heather. Of course, FB changed how sharing links works without telling us because that's what FB does. Chris. Paige. Hola. Coffee and pecan swirls. I didn't get pecan. I just have coffee. I don't keep pecan swirls. Nice. Everyone in Eden has extra room. Hola, holla, Dan. I saw that that trailer you sent me. Whoa, Killer of Killers looks interesting. I'm cautiously optimistic. Who's aching back? Oh yeah, aching back. Let's see. Kathy, hello from Jacksonville, Florida. My sister's where is she in Florida now? She's up there somewhere. She's at the top of Florida. So yeah, I think she's closer to you. So yeah, excellent. Hello everyone. Hope you're all doing well today. We had a Sunday morning here, but it seems to have stopped. So we'll see how the rest of the day goes. Yeah, we can talk about a few things. We'll do this later. We can talk about the Bureau, and we can talk about the first part of Cecil's story. And um, I want to apologize ahead of time that if you're not part of Patreon, a lot of the stuff that we're going to say in the Bureau and Cecil's story may or may not be available to you because a lot of it is I want to say gated, I guess, or you have to be. I think what's the lowest level you get everything? Is it sorcerer? Enchanter. That's the lowest. And enchanted. You have to be enchanted. You have to be that. Audrey, hello. Keeping that question streak going, Audrey. You have to create a special plaque for Audrey at some point. Because man, she's got those questions on lock. Let's see. Doing best exports from Plotter. Okay, that's awesome, Heather. Come on, Dan. Dexter versus Predator. There's no this. Why even make it? We know what the outcome is. Please, he'll go. The Predator will be that thing, and Dexter will be like, "What? Gone. Predator's, there's no more Predator. Over." It'll be a really. It's a short movie. Good morning, Laura. um, I do, Chris. It's a really good story. Cecil's story is really good. The Bureau was fun to write, and I'm not. If I look at the production schedule, I don't even think I'm going near the Bureau this year because the production schedule is packed. So I'm not even going to put it on the schedule for the year. But I am going to do little notes for the productions for the Bureau, which is it's called Conflict Resolution. The story's there. I already have the cover. Not that I'm happy. I'm not happy with the characters, the way Rank looks. I might have to have the cover redone. So, but yeah, the story exists already in outline form. But Sid's story, jeez, that's not happening this year either. That would be I want to write Sid's story. But don't get me wrong. I really want to write Sid's story. It's not really Sid's story. It's Nina's story. I really want to write that story. But the homework that I'm doing for that, because of the time travel and the conflicts between multiverses and everything that's involved, I want to do that story justice. And it's going to take a lot of reading on time and, you know, the conflicts of time. And if you mess something up in the past, how does it affect the future? And does it bifurcate the timeline? And this creates multiple paths. And it's not ready. It's not time yet. It's not time yet. Um, like Marvel did it okay with Loki and the time variance agency, but it still was kind of ham fisted, a little sloppy. It wasn't as elegant as I would like it to be. But so far, the best franchise that's done something has been Doctor Who. But even then, Doctor Who doesn't really deal with time travel the same way as other things do. So I have to kind of find almost like finding your own way. I have to kind of find my own way how to deal with time travel, and then once I find it, I have to make sure that it becomes canon and that I don't deviate from that, or it really is going to screw up everything else. And by having Sid kind of pop in all the stories, like Sid is dropping in here, Sid drops in M&S, Sid drops over here, it kind of ties him into everything. So he's going to be really, really important to the Monty and Strong universe, I guess, Monty and Strong world, and everything that has been kind of tangential to that. So I have to really be careful with the designers and Nina and all, because I have 3 books already outlined for that. But there's so much homework, so much homework. So it's amazing. Yeah, Dan, yours will happen before Sid's story for sure. Because as we know, Silk is the man. So when I bring Silk in, it's gonna be momentous. It's going to be momentous because what Silk does, and I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler here, because he's not in the M&S timeline, but he crosses into the M&S timeline. There's a reason he crosses over, and there's a reason he comes looking for Monty and Strong and the 10 because it's about to hit the fan, and he is kind of assembling the Avengers in a way. So it's going to be amazing when he gets there. So once he arrives, then there are hints already. I'm writing the Pain Eaters. The Pain Eaters is the 3rd book of Division 13 with Luca. Luca's part of the 10. I don't know if anyone knows that yet, but you heard it here first. But Luca's part of the 10, and the Pain Eaters is the 3rd book or the 3rd novella that wraps up that little trilogy of Ronin, and that 3rd book ties into, I don't know if I can spoil it. It ties into Luca and Silk and what starts happening later on. But I don't want to say too much. Okay. Please don't forget to thumbs up on the YouTube channel because it does make the algorithm happy. And I'm wearing my Be Uncommon shirt because I have to record a CWW today. I've been doing it in the afternoons, so I'll do it a little later. Yeah. Will we see a sequel to The Birth of the Dead? Yes. I think it's The Birth of Death, and that's Huracan's story, the story of assassins with Phoenix as his apprentice. It's actually called The Assassin's Apprentice, is the series, and that is going to be good because it opens with I don't know if you guys know this. I don't think I've said it. It opens with Picasso being caught and telling Huracan, "Don't he dare come and get him." And the second story of The Birth of Death is Huracan trying to rescue another assassin, Picasso, from the group that's trying to kill them all. So it's going to be like, whoa. But The Birth of Death was a really fun story. I really liked writing about the assassin world. That was fun. Watched the video on 1408 last night. Immediately thought about the designers creating it as a prison. Yeah, 1408, I'm going to use that as reference for the house in Mages and Monsters. So it's going to be like, whoa. But I have to watch it. I've watched it, but it was a long time ago. I think when it first came out. So we're talking a long time ago. And on a tangent, I watched 4 Rooms with Tim Roth recently, and it did not age well. And it was like, okay, halfway through, I was like, okay, man, I might have enjoyed this 30 years ago when it came out, but not so much now. But I think 1408 I'll enjoy more, and I'm not really watching it to enjoy it. I'm watching it to see how the elements of in the case of 1408, it's a haunted room, but in the case of Mages and Monsters, it'll be a haunted castle, kind of a state. But the elements are kind of the same. So I'm going to be using 1408 as a point of reference on how to use certain elements to bring certain thematic ideas to the story of Mages and Monsters and why Monty has to go to Shadow Peak and what's his role in the lineage of the Montagues. And I've already alluded to the fact that his mom was aligned with Hecate, so there's going to be stuff that's going to come up. It's going to be interesting. And it's going to set Monty, looking at it's book 34, so it's going to set Monty on the path of dealing with his inner darkness. What happens in Shadow Peak triggers things that Monty's going to have to deal with. What book are we on? 27, so 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. So from here, let's see, that's 7 books from now. He'll confront what's happened in Mages and Monsters. It'll come to a head, so it'll be fun. It'll be a slow burn. Good morning, Jasmine. Welcome. If Stacy's around, please say good morning to her as well. Okay, so I hope that answered your question, Kathy. It was kind of a roundabout way of saying yes, there will be more to the birth of the dead, but I am not. The production schedule right now is sacrosanct. I'm trying not to include anything else in there because I want to get to everything that's in the production schedule. And Dolly starts giving me an eye if I want to add something like a whole new series or something. So no. Is Cecil older than Monty? They're about the same age, Don. Close to the same age. Dan says, by the way, Fight or Flight with Josh Hartnett. Oh yeah, I heard about that. I gotta go get a trailer. Watched it last night. Yeah, I really like Josh Hartnett. What movie did he impress me in? The one with the two mob bosses that lived across the street from each other, and he ended up. Oh, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but he was the protagonist in that movie where a mob boss lived on one side of the street. It was downtown Manhattan, which is near 14th Street, and the mob bosses. One was Morgan Freeman, I believe, and the other one was Ben Kingsley. And there were mob bosses that hated each other's guts, but they lived across the street. And he got in the middle of both of them because there was a vendetta against both of them, and he pitted them against each other. It was a great movie, really well done. I don't remember the name of it, but I just have to look up Josh Hartnett. I can find that. But yeah, I hear Fight or Flight is good, and I like Josh, so I'll definitely keep an eye out for it. Because I'm not gonna go to the theater to watch it, but I'll watch it on Lucky Number 11. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, that was really good. And Lucky Number 11 was the name of the horse that his dad bet on, and the whole thing. So if you haven't watched that movie and you like um, psychological kind of thrillers, but vendetta movies, and it's the way Josh's character weaved this web of deception. It was incredible. It was really, really well written. That movie was so well written, and it was in New York City, so I really enjoyed that aspect. Yes, and it is good to balance the light and the darkness, you have to know that the darkness is there to balance it. And right now, Monty is kind of in a phase of where the darkness is never going to be let out, and that's going to be a problem for him later on. So in Mages and Monsters, there's a catalyst that happens near the end of the story inside Shadow Peak where that darkness comes to the forefront, and I can't tell you anymore because then it would be spoiling it. So that's the key, but it's happening, and it's like, yeah. But it can be tricky to balance the light and the dark as a normal human. It's tricky. Now imagine you're a mage that controls energy and power, and how with that power, if you allow your darkness to overcome you, you can get more power and you can become stronger. And how that allure is what happens to people in general. I mean, people who become powerful, usually what they want is more power. And it just ends up becoming this vicious cycle. found something to watch for the first time in a while called The Bondsman. Oh, that's the one with Kevin Bacon, I think, right? Yeah, yeah, it has Kevin Bacon. Sure. I heard it was good. That he's out there taking out zombies or something, but they kind of the context that he's like a family man, he's a dad or something like that. Yeah, adding power to power, like like adding energy, or in this case, adding. There's going to be a definite uh, allure of becoming more powerful for Monty, and there's going to be that. I don't want to say temptation, but definitely the allure, and it's going to present itself as an opportunity, and Monty's going to have to make a choice, and so that's what Simon is there for, to kind of make sure that he makes the right choice. But will he make the right choice? Is it the right choice? We'll see. Sorry, I'm teasing you. Sorry. This is what happens. This is what happens when you're in the middle of a story and you're talking about the story. So, but definitely, Dan, I'm going to check out Fight or Flight when it comes out for sure. All right, let me do the shout outs real quick. So, shout out to everyone on YouTube. I see a lot of YouTube tags, which is awesome. Thank you all for coming. Linda, welcome. Um, we're at Ben Peaches Publishing. So I can't even say Ben Peaches Publishing. It's like a tongue twister. Ben Peaches Publishing. Say that 10 times fast. So we're at Ben Peaches Publishing on YouTube, and that's our umbrella channel. And there we have also the CWW, which is our Creative Warrior Wisdom. I think we're to number 124, 125. Today will be 125. And one MoB Kaffeeklatsch 141. The 141, okay. The 141 is a little more impressive because we do these every 2 weeks. So you multiply that times 2 weeks. I got a quote for when Simon does the 50 year. Oh yeah, that's see, I can't do it this year, that one, but that's being called the Morrigan's Man. That's a whole series, that whole 50 years, which is a parenthesis within the Montague and Strong story. The Morrigan's Man is going to be Simon uh, doing his 50 years of payment to the Morgan, working for her directly, and he's going to be going on like cases with. So he's basically going to be like what TK was for the Morgan when TK was working for her, and so Simon's going to take up that mantle. It's going to be fun, but it's going to be dangerous, and it's going to be very different from M&S. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And a little edgier, a little darker, because he's working for the Morgan. Hello, Rebecca. Welcome. Heather says, having to make choices, tracks for Hecate. Yeah, she's a goddess of crossroads. Another sign of her patronage. Yeah, she is a goddess of crossroads, which is awesome. Okay, so we're on YouTube at Ben Peaches Publishing. Find us there. Support us. Hit a like, subscribe, share. Check out the CWWs. I'm doing them every other day. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I do them. And just the same thing. Please hit like, subscribe, share. Help that channel grow as well, because it helps everything else grow. On Instagram, we're at Ben Peaches. I have already have stuff set up, so I'm not even going to go into it. When I release the stuff, it'll just be like a deluge of stuff. But I'm not going to get into it right now because I'm holding back just a bit. On Zazzle, our channel is M&S, so it's EMANDES, and we have swag, and you should have swag too. So this is swag from our store, and I think I saw Chris's picture of his swag. Nice pics. I like the hat. I have that hat somewhere. I don't know whether it's a tan hat, but that was one of the first designs I created for Montague Show. That hat is awesome. I really like the red ampersand. It's a nice balance. Let me hit the link for Patreon, because yeah, why not? See how long it takes the link to show up. So we're on Patreon. Please go, and this is the link if it wants to show up. I don't know. I'm clicking on it. There it is. I'm sorry. This is our Patreon link. So if you want to get the stories, this is where you go. Click on there. You can join for free, so you don't have to pay. You can join for free and get a whole bunch of stuff and a whole bunch of stories. And if I'm not mistaken, we're up to 14 stories on Patreon. Was what I think Dolly told me last. I have to confirm with her. She's here. Hello. Did you say hi? Say hi again. Okay. So I think we're up to 14 short stories. Well, the Bureau wasn't a short story, but most of them are fairly short. And a few debuts, and they're like Peanut debuted in Patreon. So yeah, there are a few stories. There are 14 of them. So if you want to read those stories, you have to go up, I think, a tier from free. But you get some stuff for free, which is pretty awesome. Okay. And then our swag store, let's see if I can get this on. Our Zazzle swag store, this is the link. That's our reference link. So please use this link. It'll be up in the mob. I mean, all these links are posted on the mob. You go get some swag because how could you live your life without swag? Everyone needs some swag. I mean, I have my swag hat. So definitely, yeah. What else do we have? I think that's it for now. Fantastic. So this story, Mages and Monsters, which is what I'm in the midst of right now. Let me take this down from blocking my face, so it's close to blocking my face. Was supposed to be done last week around Tuesday, but it was like um, it took a left when it should have taken a right. It zigged when it should have zagged, and it added so much more time. And I'll tell you, I thought I was near the end. I am so not near the end, and so it's like, man, why would you do this to me? And I'm not upset, but when a story goes viral, I'm the one saving grace about stories, my stories going viral, is that they always do it in the midst of. I've never had a story where I finished and said the end, and then it's been like, and by the way, I need to write 5 more chapters. I've never had that. I know authors who've had that, who've had to go back and rewrite and retcon and kind of squeeze this stuff back into the body of the story because all the stuff came to them after the story was done in their mind. I've never had that happen. I don't think I ever want to have that happen. And if it does, I'd write a short story as like an aside. Yeah, I do need a bigger writing stick for the story. It doesn't matter. The beast just laughs at me. Uh, how many parts are in season story 2? 4? 2. It's just 2, right? 2 parts, Jasmine. Just 2. But there are 2 awesome parts. I really like season story. I can't. I try not to discuss the Patreon stories because they're for you guys, for the patrons. But season story was a little overdue considering we're on book 27, right? And it almost went viral, but I kind of reined it in at the last minute. I said, no, 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 we're not doing that. So, but it's really good. Um, yeah, the Muse doesn't work with nets. She just slices right through them. So that doesn't work on the Muse that helps me. Not at all. You want to think about my Muse? You want to think about something like a cross between Nana, um, Bug, and Nixia rolled into one. That would be like my Muse. So it wouldn't a net would be ineffective on the Muse that helps me. Good for Simon's agreement to Morgan. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Writing the Morgan's man is gonna be fun. No, it's not gonna be something. I'm trying not to write those. The whole point of the Patreon stories, Jasmine, was to write short little asides that I could give to the patrons quickly and have them enjoy them. And the bureau, I don't know what happened with the bureau. The bureau just kind of ballooned into this long crazy ass story, like episodes. I'm like, what the hell happened? I mean, really, it like I don't even know how to explain what happened with the bureau. It just grew. It's like out of control. It's like what the heck? Yes, that is a Peaches plushie. I have 2 because these are custom made. This is the one that goes to the gym. This is the one that Z, the Valkyrie, my youngest daughter, takes. And this one is robust. This one's really, I think the person who made him really stuffed this one. And the one over there in the drawer, and you can see he has red eyes, and he has the runes on the side. That says peaches, by the way, peaches. Um, yeah, I had them made, and that's still that's still in the process of. We have to source them out if we really want to make it. So, but we have this one. He's in every show. If you look carefully in every show, you'll see him in the corner. Yeah. So the bureau got out of control. I don't know what happened. It really got out of control. I don't know how to explain it. I was writing it, and I'm writing it, and everything's going on, and it felt very noir with Smith, and I'm like, I'm getting into it, and then next thing I know, I'm looking at how many chapters I'm in. I'm like, what's going on? This is not. It's supposed to just be like two, at the most 2,000 words, 3,000 words. It was becoming. What is the bureau like? 14,000 words? It's like 14,000 words, something like that. Crazy long. It's like a short story. 11 parts. Wonderful. Yeah. So that goes to tell you how long the bureau is. But it was fun. I'm not saying it wasn't fun. I'm just saying I don't understand how it got that long. Like, wow. Yeah. Still have no way to explain what happened with the bureau. It's the only outlier in all the Patreon stories. Most of them I know right away from the beginning that where it's gonna end. Like Cecil's story, I knew exactly how it was gonna end. But yeah, yeah. I don't know. We're gonna wait on the Peaches plushies because I want to be able to create them in bulk and but also make them affordable so people can just get them easily. And so far, I haven't found that. And any place that I've looked at wants you to order like 1,000 of them, and it's crazy. And we don't. We have nowhere to warehouse them because I don't know where we're gonna put 1,000 Peaches plushies. But so we're not gonna take on that cost right now because it doesn't make sense. But once things are where they need to be, then we can start looking into making Peaches plushies. Um, Yeah, so yeah, and I agree. Some stories want to be longer. The characters write their stories for sure, and for sure, Jasmine, I certainly will. Oh yeah, I'm sure we're gonna have a long list of people who want them when they're available. I'm sure we'll have a long list. Steven's saying, I don't have a problem with the bureau being long. Listen, it wasn't supposed to be as long as it is now, but the characters are so good. Like Rank and Smith are so good, and I like the little twist at the end when uh, Strina picks Smith, thinking that he's the weaker target. That was, and I can't say more than that because it would spoil the story. But that was a really nice twist, and that's the thing with short stories. Most short stories are supposed to have a kind of interesting twist in them, and I try to always include that little twist. That was a fun little twist. And I can't give it up. That's the constant push and pull tension of writing that you say, I'm gonna have a book that's gonna be 50K or 55K. And as you get through the story, you realize somewhere around 40K. This is no way this is gonna be 50K. That's but without that 55K as a kind of parameter or I guess a goal in a way, it's hard to write in a sense. So you gotta kind of have like, okay, I'm only gonna go this far. That has never happened before. I've started with 50K. Never. I very rarely stop at 50K. Let's see. Yeah, it's true. Characters go their own way. So Dan is saying this question has probably popped up many times. I'm trying, without searching, to think of them. Have all the members of the 10 been revealed yet? I don't think all the 10. Not in story form. No. Let's see. Luca's a member of the 10, but she's strictly in Division 13. And Silk is a member of the 10, but he's in Sepia's world. So I don't think all the 10 have been revealed. Yeah, not all. I think there's still like one that's still kind of hidden that I won't reveal yet because I know there's a character that needs to be revealed, but I can't do it just yet because the situation doesn't require it. I have, okay, so again, this is something like cannot, that don't even think about it this year, Rebecca, because the uh the Chronicles of the 10, the stories of the 10. I have the covers, I have the stories ready to go, but the production schedule has been locked in and it has to get done. So it's gonna take something major. Like what we can do in this production schedule for 2025 is we might shift things around within the allotted stories. Like Frozen Fire, which is the third book of Fate of the Dark Mages, might come earlier, but it's still in the production schedule for the year. So anything that's in the let me give you the production schedule for the year. So we have Stone, which is the next John Kane. Pain Eaters, which is the third book of Division 13. We have Brew and Chew, which is part of the trilogy for Brew and Chew with Cece and Peanut and Rags and Frank and Peaches, of course. Deadeye, which is M&S. Mistaken Identity, which is Bangers and Mash. Night Warden is Divine Hell, which is coming after that. Comedy of Eras, Eras spelled Eras, is a Bangers and Mash. So that's the end of the trilogy. Nemesis is another M&S. Cold Girl, which is the third Brunchi story. Frozen Fire, which is the third Fate of the Dark Mages. Vector Kill, which is a Gideon Shepherd book, Gideon Shepherd I've been neglecting, so I feel bad for Gideon Shepherd and the crew. And Chaos Rising, which is the uh, another Monty Strong. So there's three M&S stories, two more Brew and Chew stories, two Bangers and Mash, one Night Warden story, and I think that, and one Fate of the Dark Mages story. I think that's it, and that goes all the way to October. So yeah, and then well, actually, it actually goes to November, and then I'm gonna take like December to rest my brain a bit. So that's the year. I don't want to introduce anything else into that year because it throws everything out of whack and skews everything. Now I'm already kind of late on Stone and Pain Eaters, but I'll be able to make that up because I make the schedule. But my partner in crime, she sat down and said, "Okay, let's do this. Don't add any new series." So there you go. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot to write. I really enjoyed the Mage Killer. I say that like I didn't write it, but I really enjoyed the Mage Killer, and that's gonna be Pain Eaters is the third part, and that's gonna be really fun because that story is Ronan transporting a new transporter. So the transporters, if you remember the old ladies that Monty and Strong encountered in the subway, the ones that would look like they're homeless and they're layered and they can teleport anywhere, then Grace, which is the leader of the transporters, has her daughter Tara to take a position under Sheol, which is the if you remember anything about Division 13, Sheol is the maximum, like a supermax prison on Randall's Island. And under that prison is where Ronan has to go take Taro to install her as a transporter for that area. So, and they had to get there alive. And yeah, so it's going to be an interesting story. And yes, the boss has spoken. So it's like, I can't, no more adding series. He's like, why do you keep adding series? It throws everything up. Why do you keep adding series? That's because that's the way my brain works. Keep adding series. Um, I can't explain it. And I really feel, because I've been watching videos on authors and writing, and I'm always learning. I'm always trying to learn about writing and writing advice and writing techniques. And there are some authors who struggle with ideas. This is a real thing. And I always feel for them because, it's hard to write. Okay, on its face, it's hard to write, period. But it's harder to write when you want to write and you don't have a story to write. Because now you're looking for a story to write. That's even harder. So I do feel for those authors who struggle to come up with ideas to write. I am in the opposite end of that spectrum. I have too many ideas, and so kind of corralling them into some kind of structure is my issue, my problem. Making sure that I can kind of funnel them in the right direction and that it all makes sense. Chris says 7 years ago, Homecoming introduced the 10. Yeah, 7 years ago. My God, it's a long time ago. So, but I never started the stories of the 10, although I have included members of the 10 within the stories of Monty and Strong. So that's always been good. But it's been like Gray. Gray stories, Gray, Wander and Monty and Strong. Wander and Two Nerds and Butterflies, I think, started almost at the same time. And Two Nerds and M&S has gone to 27 books, and Night Warden has gone to 3. I don't, this is the way the nature of the stories, like the demand of the stories come out because that's the way it is. I need to do the one shot in my head about B&M because I keep having an inclination, inclining the pumpkin can pull a Christie. No, the pumpkin cannot pull a Christie. It can't. It's not sentient, so it's not going to do that. Christine was a scary car. So yeah, but I've explained why the stories of Night Warden take longer. So I have to go back a little bit because there are some new people here, which is awesome. Gray, out of all the characters that I've written, Gray is the closest to me personally in terms of how I feel. So when I write the Night Warden, when I write Gray's stories, it always takes me to a different headspace. It takes some time to get into, and then once I'm there, it takes some time to get out of. And so it's not that I don't want to write the Night Warden stories. I love the Night Warden stories. I love writing the characters, but it's almost like it's too close to home, and so it takes a while. It's getting into that mind space, staying in that mind space, and then getting out of that mind space. And if you notice, in this whole year, there's only one Night Warden book. There's 3 Monty Strong books, 2 Bangers and Mash books, 2 Brew and Chew books. Yeah, so it's just the nature of what it is. The only one that can repair itself, the car that can repair itself, or that the cars are the Beast and the Dark Goat. Those are the only 2 that can repair themselves. Even though the Pumpkin is a Sunatran vehicle, which it is, even though Cecil disavows it because he doesn't want to have anything to be associated. He doesn't want to be associated with Bangers and Mash in the least. But it's not self-repairing. It just can take a lot of damage. If it's going to be repaired, it has to go to Sunatran. So, but there's some new Sunatran cars in Maze and Monsters. So that was fun to do because I felt it was time to kind of upgrade the line of cars. So I can tell you that the Strongmont line of Sunatran vehicles is pretty awesome. Yeah, the models that Cecil has used to design the Strongmont vehicles, and it's Strongmont because it's strong and Monty, and he just created Strongmont vehicles. The Strongmont line of vehicles is awesome. It's amazing, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I've already put a picture of the Huracan Sterato in the MoB of the Lamborghini that they have. And the other one, there's another one that I have not shown or shared, is in the book. You'll have to read it and see it in your head or look it up. But it's a really amazing car that I can't go into too much detail. But it was time because I haven't added a vehicle to M&S for a long time. Even though we have vehicles all over the place, and most of them are American muscle, I do have a fondness for Italian automotive art, which is amazing. And I've recently been studying the Koenigsegg. Is it Koenigsegg? Koenigsegg, yeah. The Koenigsegg is a Swedish car. It's the fastest vehicle right now on the planet. Amazing vehicle. Dan says, I know you've said that CP is a separate universe of M&S and Silk is adjacent in another different plane, but there's one character that Crispin just mentioned earlier that doesn't care and pops over. Yes. Did you set out to do that from the go, or is it just because you can? No, I set out to do that from the go. I wanted to create kind of my own Stan Lee character where it pops up in every single story, or can. And I did that. Once Monty and Strong was established enough, then I was able to create Sid, who can, if you see, I think Sid comes up in an M&S story at one point early on, and then he just kind of starts floating all over the place. We still need a Roxanne show story. We do, and that's kind of on the list. So the Patreon doesn't conform to the production schedule because those are short stories that I can kind of knock out in an afternoon or two. Like I did Cecil in a day, like it was quick, the Cecil story. So we do need a Roxanne story. We will get a Roxanne story, and love to see an Aston Martin. I have a special place for Aston Martin because of Bond, and so I have to do that right. And also, I don't know if Cecil wants to include a British vehicle in his lineup because he makes them for his clients. And though Monty's English, I don't think Simon would want an Aston Martin without subjecting Monty to non-stop James Bond references, which would drive Monty insane, which is a good thing, but it would be an issue, I think, for Monty. Like, no, you're not doing this. So this is why we stuck to American muscle and Italian engineering, because There's no point of reference to harass Monty there. An Aston Martin Vantage, yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful automobile. So I mean, anything Aston Martin would be welcome in my mind. I just have to find a way to justify it in the stories. A Bond car from the movie is in a show the boys must borrow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he can borrow a Bond car. That's the thing. I'd have to think about it. It's hard to go from American muscle and Italian uh, beauty to the practical incredibleness of British automotive. Aside from the Jaguar, which I'm not fond of because the Jaguar spends more time getting repaired than anything else, but the Aston Martin, like the DB9, the Vantage, amazing vehicles, amazing automobiles, incredible. And the Triumph motorcycle is also another big, big British uh, piece of engineering that's fantastic. Yes, Sid is the watcher of the Orlandoverse. You could definitely say that. Like Sid has shown up even in the Patreon stories. When you first meet Peanut, it's Sid that's bringing her to Fen. I'm sorry, not Peanut. Yeah, Sid is bringing Peanut to a place, but Sid is also introducing Val to Fen. So yes, yeah, British cars don't work in the U.S. Bikes, yeah, cars. It's the roads. I think they're just not. They're they're not amenable to British engineering for some reason. I think a Stingray for Monty just so like no, Monty won't do American muscle. He's too British for American muscle. He gets into the goat because he has to, but the Sterrato, which is the Strongmont Lamborghini that Cecil recently created, is more like Monty's sensibilities. So a Lamborghini is more along the lines of what Monty is, and American Muscle is more like what Simon is, because you got to think of the two different temperaments and characters. And Simon is more refined. Monty's more refined. Monty's more upscale, whereas Simon is more American Muscle, working class kind of guy. So the cars reflect the owners. Now, excuse me. The only exception there, well, actually, I guess it's not an exception, is welcome, Richard. You can lurk all you want. It's awesome. I guess not an exception, but what really epitomizes a character, the car matching the character, is the Beast and Gray, because a Camaro, though it's an American-made car and and it is a beast. I owned one. It's it could be considered almost luxury. The model that Gray has is almost luxury because it's old, but it's Sunatran enhanced. It's incredible, and it's basically indestructible. So that car really aligns with its owner, and so far the Dark Goat really aligns with Simon. But Simon also loves Lamborghini. I mean, he blew one up. Okay, he didn't blow it up, but he was responsible for it. So he blew up an Aventador. Um, And Simon, if I were going to give him, and Monty, if I were going to give him a car, an actual British car, I'd have to really look. But it would probably be along the Jaguar line because that kind of car is so refined that, yeah, it kind of fits Monty. It fits his temperament, who he is, and his meticulousness about the way he looks. And it just screams Jaguar. Aston Martin, maybe, but it has to be a specific Aston Martin, like maybe in the DB9 line, or maybe a Vantage. I'd have to look. I'd have to look. Maybe an older version of it that Cecil kind of enhances. But Monty doesn't drive much because he doesn't have to. Think about it. He can teleport anywhere he needs to go. Why would you drive if you could teleport anywhere? Would you sit in traffic? I mean, yes. If you love driving, yes, I could see that because there's a certain pleasure in driving. But if you could teleport instantly from place to place, why would you drive? There'd be no need for it. So yeah. You could be surreptitious and arrive in places. What if you have to teleport to the kid's school? Then you teleport a block away, and then you walk the block. Well, it depends. He can mask. He can mask. He doesn't have to pop up and be here I am. He can appear, mask, and then unmask, and just go right in. So he has ways. Plus, to drive, now you got to find parking, and if it's a really nice British Sunatran vehicle. This is Monty. It's not even a scratch. If it gets a smudge, he's gonna be upset. So why add that aggravation? Yeah. I do have a motorcycle in the stories. Coda drives a motorcycle. She has a Sunatran motorcycle. So yes. How does Monty avoid teleporting into wall? That's excellent. I'm not going to go into it now, but it's excellent. And there is a way that he's taught as a mage to do that. It's very similar to Peaches blinking in and out of places and walking in between. The mechanism for a mage to teleport and not teleport into a wall or into traffic is similar, but I don't want to go into it now because it has story elements to it that Dex is going to have to give. How do I explain it without spoiling things? Later on, Simon and Peaches are going to have to do a series of teleports, like what happened in a proper Hellhound, right? If you read a proper Hellhound, you realize that there was a moment where he did multiple teleports. And there's a way to do that without teleporting into walls or into floors. So Monty's gonna have to do something similar to that, and Dex is gonna have to show him because Dex is a master of teleportation, and he's gonna use Peaches as an example to kind of break it down for Monty. So I don't want to give it away, but there's a way. Yeah, the Jaguar CX-75. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, yes, Coda does have a motorcycle, Richard. Yes, Shelby Cobra. I love Shelby Cobras. I love anything Shelby, like Eleanor, the Ford Mustang Shelby anything that Shelby has enhanced is amazing, but I don't want to include it too much into the story. I think I included a Shelby or a version of a Shelby in Fate of the Dark Mages, but then I had changed it to her own car. Val started with like a Shelby Cobra, but I changed it. Simon needs a jetpack. No, I don't think he needs a jetpack. He has Peaches. If he really needs to get places, he can just go with Peaches. Um, yeah, so motorcycles are great, but Coda has a motorcycle. Her bike, what's it called? I think she calls it Dead Sexy. Yeah, because Gray gives her grief about the name of the motorcycle. He says if you get hit by a bus, it's just gonna be called dead. So don't. And so, but that's what she calls it, Dead Sexy, because it has camouflage. It goes invisible. So that's why. Yes, Iker has a really awesome motorcycle that I described in his story. He has a one of a kind motorcycle. Coda's motorcycle is just an enhanced bike, but Iker's bike is a specific one of a kind unique motorcycle that actually exists in reality. It has those double wheels in the front and double wheels in the back. And it was a prototype. Yeah, so it's amazing. An Unamog? What is an Unamog? I don't even know what an Unamog is. Yeah, Coda having it makes sense for her. Yeah, she's not gonna ride in. She rides in the Beast, but her character, who she is and how she is, really screams motorcycle because that's kind of her free spirit, you know. So yeah, it's perfect for her to have a motorcycle, and it's called Dead Sexy. I mean, come on, that's who she is. That's what she does, and I can't wait till Divine Hell. I think I'm gonna have a cameo in one of the Monty Strong stories because she's due. Coda has definite Bug vibes. See, it's interesting because Bug, as awesome and as kick-ass as she is, I can't see her on a motorcycle because she's dangerous. Can't see her on a motorcycle. Coda, I could see on a motorcycle, no problem. It's really interesting how the characters kind of speak to you and tell you that I wouldn't drive that, you know, in 100 years. And yeah, another one would say, yeah, I'll get on that. It's amazing. Yeah, I used to ride motorcycles a long time ago, and I used to ride motorcycles in Florida. And in Florida, you have one stoplight here, and the next stoplight was like 2, 3 miles away, and I would ride the speed bikes, and you would just open it up, and you would fly, and there's nothing quite like you can never feel that in a car, never. Um, Big tank of a truck, yeah. Bug likes to make a statement with her drive, so that's why the Nomad is like a mini tank. It's amazing, and teleports. Yes, in the sense of it, in the spirit of efficiency that Monty likes to live in, he likes to be very, organized and structured. Teleports save gas. It's true. All right, let's get to the questions. because it's time and it's already 12:04, 12:20, and I don't know where the time went, so don't ask me. Ask Sid. I like that. What time is it? Ask Sid. That's our next shirt. Okay. What time is it? Ask Sid. Excellent. Exactly. No parking tickets, no speeding tickets, no looking for parking either. That's a beautiful thing. First question from Audrey, who has kept her streak going, the question queen. Orlando, what is something you weren't looking forward to and ended up enjoying? There's no context here. So, in terms of food, kimchi, I could say I wasn't looking forward to the first time I saw kimchi. I have a big tub full of kimchi in my fridge right now that I have to eat, which is awesome. Um, in terms of, I think in terms of food, because food is kind of like the first thing that comes to mind. So most of the stuff that Dolly has introduced me to, I never really knew until I met her, and then she introduced me to samosas. I didn't think I was gonna enjoy samosas. Samosas are so good. Oh my god. Um, there's so much food from that part of the world that I never experienced that I really enjoy, that I end up enjoying. So yes, biryani. Oh, you haven't lived until you eat some really good biryani. So yeah, things like that. There are a lot of things in my life that I didn't think I was going to end up enjoying that I did end up enjoying. But in terms of things, simple things like food, and even though food isn't simple, but yeah. So I would say that food context, stuff like that. Food that initially I'm not a very adventurous eater because I kind of have what I eat and that's what I eat and that's kind of it. But Dolly really expanded my horizon when it came to eating. So yeah, there were a lot of stuff that I said, "Ooh, I'm gonna eat that," and tasted it. Oh wow, that's really good. So yeah, a lot of Asian food. I used to go to K Town when I was younger with my friends from school, and so bulgogi, like eating the steak as it's cooked at your table. Oh, my God, so good. There's a lot of stuff that's like that. Liver is not one of them though, and you're never gonna convince me of that. Never, never. Okay, Dolly, question for you. What is something in a story that stops you from finishing a book?
So many things.
So many things.
But I think the biggest would be the characters. If there's a character, or especially the main one, that's unlikable, if they're really whiny, if they're two-dimensional, then I really would not be able to stand reading the rest of the book. And then there's the writing itself. If the writing is clunky, there's too many mistakes, too many typos, if there's a lot of repetition, weird that are just words that are just don't sit right when it's not delightful reading it.
That's a great answer. I hope you guys were able to hear that. It's a fantastic answer. Thank you for that question, Audrey. It's a great, great question. Last question from Audrey. Orlando, can you think of any circumstances where the Deus Ex Machina device actually works well and isn't inartistic, too convenient, or overly simplistic? No. Um, Deus Ex Machina, if you don't know what it is, it's having a convenient device that suddenly saves your hero or a story element that just happens to be there, like coincidences that shouldn't be coincidences, and then not welcome in writing because they kind of rob the story of the element of tension. They rob the character of agency, and most readers don't like them because it's a lazy device to utilize. A good example of that is if you thought about the old Batman episodes on TV with Adam West. Every time they got out of something, it was Deus Ex Machina. They had the perfect device at the perfect time, and the timing was just right, and they would be there. They'd get out. So, no, I haven't thought of a way that it actually works well because it's it what it does is it fosters lazy writing, or you try to retcon something to work at the last minute and save your hero or assist your hero, whoever the protagonist is, and it does come across as inartistic, too convenient, which is something you never want to do for a reader, and it is simplistic because it's the sign of an author or a writer who still hasn't really found their voice, and so they're using this device to get to the ending that they want, but not in a way that shows artistic maturity. Hope that answer works. So no, I haven't seen any use of Deus Ex Machina where it works. It just doesn't come across well. But that's a great question. I don't think anyone has tried to pull it off. If anyone can pull it off, who do I think can pull it off? If Sir Terry Pratchett were alive, I think he could pull off Deus Ex Machina because the way he wrote, the satire that he used, he could probably use it, twist it, and make it work. But you have to be. It's not even a matter of being talented as a writer. Most good authors don't use it because it makes the writing clunky. It makes the writing convenient, and it takes away from the writing, and it makes readers throw books across the room. So, no, it's not something you want to use often. All right, Chris has a question. Oh wait, Jeanette says 141. She's not here, but just in case she sees us later, how the time has flown. Is this another effect of the Kaffeeklatsch time dilation? Yes. What time is it? Acid. Okay. Um, Chris says it takes me 6 to 7 months to break in a hat. How long does it take you to get a hat comfortable? And do you have a secret method? My secret method with a hat, I have another hat, another version of this that I use for driving. Um, I take it on walks. I go walking with it. I take it in the sun. The sun beats it up. Changes the color a little bit, but it really makes it comfy. So my driving hat, that's the identical version of this, is it's perfect. The brim is just folded just the way I like it. It fits like it's perfect. So yes, I take it walking. I go on long walks with them, and I have them, and it doesn't take too long. Maybe a month or so. Perfect. Chris also asked, "Did you ever pitch pennies when you were a kid?" Yes, we used to try to get them close as possible to the wall. So I don't know if you call that pitching pennies, but yeah, you try to get your penny as close to the wall as possible. That was my image. That's my memory of pitching pennies. So I don't know if that's your image, but yeah. Thank you so much for these questions. Like amazing, you guys. I can't express how thankful I am that they make the show better. Now, before I forget, because I have forgotten to this point, we have promos, authors who have books. So let's promote them because what do? We promote our indie authors. So, Chris, hit me with some links, please, when you get a moment, and I'll read these. Comments. Let's see. Samosas are great. Yes, Audrey. I agree. Stuffed grape leaves are yum. I don't know. Have you tasted stuffed grape leaves? Are they good? Yeah. Samosas are great. Yeah. Liver has to be fried right with. No. There's no version of liver that's gonna. No. I mean, yes, it should be fried with onions, but you know what's better than liver? Steak with onions. Yeah. Now we're talking. And what? And fries? Or spices? Yeah. Don't dress that up. It's liver. It's still liver. No. So, um, what is TSTL, Audrey? I don't know what that means. It has to be Vidalias or other. The onions, if you can make that with steak, now we're talking. Once you put around, yeah. That trick never works. The Deus Ex Machina device never. The reason why it doesn't work is because it takes away from the story. That's really why. You know. All right, so we got Rick Gualtieri. You guys know Rick. Uh, Bill the Vampire, I believe, is the main character. He has a new book out, an Audible called Time Chaser. So this is his book. We support our indie authors. Let me see if I can get the link up. I'm trying. Sometimes StreamYard feels like a good person. It's like, let me get in there. Time Chaser Audible book on Amazon. That's the link. It's a lit RPG game death. So lit RPG, as you know, it's kind of like it's almost it reminds me of the follow your own adventure kind of books. So this is very much a literary RPG. That's what the lit RPG stands for. So lit role playing game. And that's what Rick has, an audible book. So that's, I don't know how that would work as an audible book, but I'm sure it's been done before. So that's Rick. And then our other author, there's a pre-order. Um, is A.D. Starling has It All Started with a Bite, Diary of a Reluctant Werewolf, Book 1. So it comes out April 25th, which is our next MoB. We'll promote it on the next MoB as well. But it's a pre-order, and the pre-orders help the authors. So if you can go and get A.D.'s book, pre-order it. That way, on day one of the pre-order, you'll see a lot of book requests and book sales. So it's always good. Oh, Too Stupid to Live. Yes. When you have characters. So these two links will be up in the MoB. Please go. We support our indie authors. Okay? Get these books. Help these authors out. Get visibility. It's always a good thing. All right. Let me take this down. And Too Stupid to Live characters. I'm trying to wonder if Simon was ever too stupid to live. I don't think so. He was hard headed and dense, but never too stupid to live. That would have annoyed the hell out of me. And I don't think I can write a character like that. That's just too stupid to live. I know many times I got many comments from readers who said, I just want to smack Simon upside his head so that he can actually get some of the things that he's exposed to. But my defense of Simon is, and has always been, that this is a normal guy thrown into the world of magic. And if it were you or me, you'd have to go through a period of adjustment or a period of adapting. And it's like he was cynical. He didn't believe. It's like no, and even now, Simon is still. He's not phased. He approached this thing with a lot of snark, a lot of sarcasm, which is how he copes with the fear, right? And he's not phased by power, which is a weird thing because a lot of people would be phased by power, but Simon's like, "You're a god, big deal, I don't want it, stop playing your games," because that's Simon's main thing is that he doesn't like gods and their games because he doesn't like being used as a pawn. So his inner reluctance to be manipulated overrides his awe at these beings, and he sees them as just arrogant individuals in search of more power or abusing their power. And he's hard headed. So, yeah, it's like Roger says, he's stubborn. So it's just like he remembers things and he knows things, but he's not going to be intimidated, which is impressive when you think about some of the things he's gone up against. So it's happening in Mages and Monsters, but Simon is maturing ever since, I want to kind of say Shield Bearer and then Saints and Monks. He's maturing. Hello, Ravenslayer. Welcome. I know you're someone else, not just Ravenslayer, but you're on YouTube, so hello and welcome. Um, so yes, he does have a reason for not taking the shot, and that comes up in Deadeye, which is actually the next book. Finally, we get to Deadeye, and that decision, wow, that decision is gonna come. I don't even want to get into it because this book is gonna be a serious gut check for Simon, and so I feel bad for him, but he has to go through this. So yeah, but he had a reason for not taking a shot, and but he regrets being part of that whole operation. It brings back most of Simon's past. So if you thought he was dealing with his past in Requiem, Deadeye is going to be even more, and it's going to be oof. It's yeah. He's going to be put through the ringer. We're all going to be put through the ringer with that one, and you're going to see more of Simon other side because he's always kind of cocky and arrogant, and I can take you can't face me. This is going to be more. Whoa, yeah, yeah. No romance. Don't think I'm going into the romance. That's Fate of the Dark Mages. But it's gonna be kind of like, oof, man. Yeah. It's gonna be one of those stories. And Monty would be there to help him through it, but it's really more from he has to go, hey Aaron, welcome. I'm glad you didn't sleep through it. When you've got like 5 minutes, you're here, you made it, and that's what matters. He's gonna have to go through, he's gonna have to do some real soul searching, he's gonna have to answer some major questions, and he's gonna have to confront some dark truths about himself, and just kind of like what he did with Kali and how Kali walked him through This was your choice. You chose this. Why didn't you walk away when you had the chance? You had three opportunities to walk away, yet you did it. Why not? And at the end of that conversation with Kali, he had to come to the grips with, yeah, this is something that I did, because he spent most of his time blaming everyone but himself, like saying, I'm not a mage, I'm not in this, I was thrown into this world, and so forth and so on. And Kali's like, no, 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 no. You had a choice. You had a choice in the beginning. You had a choice at this point. You had a choice at this point. Why didn't you choose differently? This one, Deadeye, he made a choice, and it was, oof, yeah, yeah. Yeah, YouTube notifications are much smoother than FB, that's for sure. FB keeps changing the UI and not telling anyone. It's like a secret. You have to figure it out by yourself. It's ridiculous. So that's going to be the issue with Deadeye, and that's not coming. Deadeye is happening in a few months. I start writing it. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting story. They're gonna be tears on, at least on this end. They're gonna be tears. So not because of the stories, because I'm gonna be cutting onions as I write. That's why. That's what it is. I'm not crying. You're crying. It'll be one of those things. Um, but nothing's gonna happen to Peaches. I'm saying that up front, so no one gets any idea that I'm gonna put Peaches through another ringer. Peaches is safe, I think, for now. Yeah, Peaches is safe. As long as Peaches is safe, I'm safe. So yeah, they don't tell you anything. Why would they tell you anything? Then it would spoil the surprise. They don't tell you anything, Chris. Come on, you should know FD by now. Dan says, thanks for another amazing hang in the Orlandoverse. Thank you, Dan, for coming by, and the trailer for Killer of Killers. That was awesome. And then Milano, what you've got cooking literary wise has got me chomping at the bit. Yeah, me too. I can't wait to get to these stories. The events leading up to the Return of the Man sounds like it's going to be epic, epicness of the Grand Escape. Have a great weekend, Dan. It's great to see you always. Heather says, I still want to know who sent Monty on the trail of the children of No. Oh, that comes out later. Much later. Much later. Don't forget that in No God is Safe, Kali was instructed not to touch Monty. That's all I can say. Um, how do you say peaches in Spanish? Oh, come on. Did you put him up to that? Okay. There's two ways to say peaches in Spanish. Durazno, that's one way. And the way that I like that we're not going to use is melocotón. So, because I'm not, am I saying, am I sharing this? I'm not going to share much. We're going to work on translations in the future. And peaches is melocotón. And I said, there's no way we're going to translate peaches to melocotón. It's not going to happen. And so, but I kid with Dolly constantly with melocotón because that's peaches in Spanish. Yeah, I'm not messing with peaches. I already did that. I learned that 23 books ago, 24 books ago. Don't mess with peaches. I learned that in Blood and Sticker. In Blood and Sticker, if you read, see, you guys have the benefit of having 26 books. But go back to when there were only 3 books. And Blood and Sticker was the most recent book written. In that book, it looks like Peaches bit the farm. And yeah, that caused me a lot of email grief for sure. So now, 24 books later, you guys are like, oh, Peaches is okay, And Peaches has grown, and Peaches is evolving too, and Peaches is getting stronger, and Peaches is mighty, so he can't really. It's hard to hurt Peaches now. Although, in a proper hellhound, there are shadow hounds that are designed, that were created to deal with hellhounds. So I might bring the shadow hounds back just to present a threat. They'll be fun. They'll be fun to have. That was a fun book because when a shadowhound bites Simon, and the bite has psychotropic poison in it, so he starts to hallucinate and he starts speaking gibberish. And there are a few times when that happens to Simon in terms of, like, there was one when he was talking with Dex and TK, and he starts speaking gibberish. So in a proper hellhound, the same thing happens, but the shadowhounds are dangerous, and yeah, they might have to come back probably after Dark Mage, which is book 34. There might be some Shadowhound action. and definitely in the brew and chew, definitely some shadow highlight for sure, for sure. All right, guys, we're almost done. So the only thing that's left now, besides being uncommon, right, is to give me a number from 1 to 7 so we can close out the show with one of our themes. So 10 of you, the number, there's 16 here. So 10 of you just have to give me a number from 1 to 7. Okay? And you know what? I just want to say thank you for you guys being here. And you guys make the show amazing. And not only that, what's really amazing, what's really important, because I know I speak every day in the room, and I'm always in the room every day, and I lurk and I see and I make sure that the room stays as amazing as it should. A huge shout out to the mods and the other admins who do the same. They keep an eye on what's happening and to make sure that the room is a safe place. But I also want to thank each of you for making the writing experience that I go through an amazing experience. I always, at the end of each book, I say thank you for coming on this adventure with me, because it is an adventure. We've been doing this now. If you want to count from Two Yards and Butterflies to now, we've been doing this for 11 years. 11 years? Has it really been 11 years? Oh my God, 11 years. So those of you who have been here since Two Yards and Butterflies, we've been together for 11 years. That's incredible. That's amazing. So I want to just a huge thank you to all of you that read the stories. You guys are amazing. I couldn't do it without you. Let's see what one we got. It looks like 5. Is it 5? Yeah, it looks like 5. Okay. And yeah, this is what I love to do. So you guys, as long as you keep reading, I will keep writing. Without our readers, what am I writing for? I need my readers so I can write. That's the whole point. Every author, it's at their core, wants someone to read their story. That's all it comes down to. Bye, and take care. Have a great weekend. So if you have to leave, please do. And, enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, exactly, Rich. I'll write them. You read them. I think that's a great deal. Let's do it. All right, let's get the number 5. So let's see what number 5 is. Uno, dos, tres. Oh, perfect. We're talking about him, and I'm gonna put his face up right now. This is Peach's theme song.